All right, welcome to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. I am so excited to be chatting with our friend Suzy and about her journey. She's an amazing mom, entrepreneur, wife, business owner, and you posted something not too long ago on your personal Facebook page because we're friends on Facebook, and I was just like, man, we need to get Suzy on the podcast to talk about this. And so we'd love to just kind of like dive into that video, what spurred it on. You're talking about the power of consistency and specifically like your 1 year journey about this business that you guys are birthing, which we're so excited to support you in. But I feel like in our culture today, we want like a quick fix. We want things to be handed to us overnight. And whenever there's pushback, it always you question, am I failing? Was this the right decision? And so you just came on and spoke powerfully about consistency. So thank you, Suzy, so much for being on. We're excited to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be on here with you guys today.
Now, take us back to that Instagram live, because I feel like, or Facebook live, what were you feeling that day? Like when you made that? Because I just felt like there was like a fire on it. You were just like it was just like you could feel the weight of it. And I think it had been building up, it felt like, and it just had a lot of power to it. So like, what do you remember that day? Take us back there.
Yeah, I do remember that. I've been in a long business building process. And I'd say that, my husband and I, our entrepreneurial journey really started about 9 years ago when we first started our first business. And it's been like full of challenges, full of ups and downs. But I think the biggest lesson that we've learned is just the power of consistency, the power of doing something small every day, even if it's just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, is so much bigger than the effects of like an amazing breakthrough day, where you do everything. So I'm also a homeschooling mom. And I think that's even where I'm really learning that is like, I have these big goals and ambitions to like get my kid to read and let's do a 2-week intensive. But the research proves that just 5 minutes a day of learning how to read and practicing your letters is so much more powerful. And so the beginning of the pandemic, I read Atomic Habits, which maybe you've heard of that book by James Clear. And it just deeply resonated with me, like the power of our habits every day and creating systems to set ourselves up for success. So I've been really working on that over the pandemic. And in the last 18 months, I've been trying to source a manufacturer for my current product. And it's just been a long process. Like it has been full of discouragement and dead ends. We made the decision to manufacture here in the United States. And so that we just came up with a lot of barriers with supply chain issues, all of that. But I think the day that I did that Facebook Live, I just had a revelation that I was overcoming my own perfectionism. And that really excited me, that consistency is a great tool to just overcome perfectionism. And I think so many of us, like in our culture, so many of us struggle with perfectionism. We want to look good. We want to appear to have a finished product. Instagram is just a place where we show the highlight reel, like we show the finished product all the time. But I think I was just realizing how powerful it was to like enjoy the process and enjoy just showing up for myself every day. So I've learned that in homeschooling, but I've also learned that in entrepreneurship. So yeah, that's a little bit behind the curtain.
So cool. That's so cool. And over 18 months developing this product. What have been some of those mental hurdles that have come up in this process, and actually actual hurdles? Because like, it's not just a mental game. This is actually not just your mental game, but I think manufacturer's mental game. It sounds like you were talking to, US based suppliers or manufacturers, which sometimes can be, I think, like you mentioned in your live video, a pretty male dominated industry. They're all definitely in this certain age range, and they're just like, no, we don't take on this new startup product, right? Like, what were some of those conversations like that you're having? And like, I don't know, just tell us some of the stories of the journey.
Yeah. So I think I have a spreadsheet of almost like 80 to 100 manufacturers that I have contacted and interviewed, and pretty much all of them are here in the United States. And I'd say like 80% of them were older men, like 60 plus, age 60 plus. And so, I'm a new mom in my early 30s. And so it just felt like there was this big gap of understanding between like this male dominated industry and where I'm coming from. I'm a mom launching a product and launching a new company. So I definitely had to kind of learn how to speak their language and navigate the manufacturing industry. I think there was a lot of just struggles with people taking me seriously.
Yeah.
What
was the first call like? The first one you dialed?
I think it was like, hi, like I want to launch a baby product. And they said, do you have a website? And I said, no, not yet. And just had to keep explaining, myself. Like, no, I don't have a website. So I think, but it's funny. This is the power of consistency, because I can see the conversations that I've had even in the last couple of weeks, and I can see my confidence so much more than in the beginning. Like the result of consistency over 18 months is that my confidence has been so much more.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
That was one challenge. I think I had to face the mental block of like, is this meant to be? A lot of us, we come up against a challenge and we think, oh, maybe it's not meant to be. Like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or this just isn't written in the stars. God doesn't have this for me because it's too challenging. But I think I reached a point where I just said, I am like here for it, no matter what challenge there is. And we need to realize that challenges are just the journey. And we have to like embrace that. So I think after that Instagram live, I got to this place where I'm like, I'm in it for the challenge, no matter what I face. So.
Wow. That's so cool. You talked about the power of 1 year, and that just really stuck with me, that it's hard to do something for a full year sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that there's something about really just getting past that even 1 year mark. It's just a new level of authority, right? Like you've learned so much about talking with manufacturers. You've learned so much about even the manufacturing process, and those things probably set you up for the manufacturer you ended up working with. You wouldn't be able to land that manufacturer, not going through the journey of the full year of consistency. So I think that power of the year concept, like for all our listeners, like what are you giving yourself to for this year? Like what is that area of your life that you are hoping to grow in, that you're hoping to stretch yourself in? And can you commit to a year? I know sometimes a year when you do these big commitments, New Year's, I'm going to do this for a year. It's hard to set yourself up for success with that because it's such a big goal. But when you break it into these consistency moments of like, okay, I mean, for your spreadsheet of manufacturers, did you have the whole spreadsheet and then start calling? Or did you just like have a couple? Or did you have like a routine, like I'm going to call 2 a week, or like something like that?
I had like 2 days a week, 2 afternoons a week that I could devote. And so I started with 3 or 4, and then my research just grew and grew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So long process. But I love that because I think, I live outside of LA where it's like super fast paced of life, and people commit to things for like a month, or 6 weeks, and anything longer than 6 weeks feels like this huge commitment. But I think it'd be so powerful if like, even as a community, you could commit to one habit for a whole year and see what you would learn, over the course of that year.
Yeah.
I love that. Suzy, I'd love to hear, like, I know you just touched upon, like, I had 2 afternoons a week to give to calling manufacturers, but how in the beginning, when, you're all gung ho on this product, you see the vision, like, how did you carve out time to create consistency in your business? Like, as a mom, as a busy homeschool mom, I know you said this kind of started in the pandemic. I'm not sure if you guys still have your current business that you started a while ago, and other commitments and family and life and all of that. As a mom, we feel like pulled in so many different directions, but yet I just believe that moms are incredible, and we can have big dreams that are outside of our family too, and not just like being the incredible mom that I know that you are. So how did you mentally prepare yourself well to commit time to create that consistency? Like are there things that you and your family have implemented over the last year? I'd love to hear some of those practical tips.
Yeah, definitely. So I do homeschool in the morning. And then 2 days a week, I have a babysitter come. So one day a week is my mother-in-law, and then the other day is we outsource that to a babysitter. And I've just found that rhythm has been perfect for our family. My husband's also an entrepreneur, so he has a pretty flexible schedule. So yeah, I found like those 2 days were the days that I would just go after making calls and doing research with manufacturing. And then there would be days when I would have to throw the kids in the car, strap them in a car seat, and take a call, on the road or something where they couldn't bother me from their car seats. So I think it's like a patchwork thing of like you have some blocks in your schedule, and then you also have to be kind of flexible to make things work. I'm sure you guys know what that's like.
Yeah. And you were willing to make a financial commitment too, even though, this business that you're building hasn't brought any money, or maybe it has brought any money in yet, but you're like, no, I'm going to sacrifice in this way too. And make, with my bank account so I can grow and see the vision.
Totally. Yeah. And it's worth it. And wonderfully, like my husband being an entrepreneur, he already has that buy-in to build a business will give us equity in the long run. So we actually had the money set aside for a down payment for a house. And we just felt like we were supposed to take all that money and put it into this business. Wow. And so we're really like, there is no plan B. We're going all in, which feels crazy to some. And then to others, they just totally get it. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
I was gonna say that muscle of like you guys going all in when you could, some would be like, well, you should be buying a house, not investing in something that might work out. But that muscle that you guys have trained, is that just from being entrepreneurs for the last 9 years, or was there something that you've baby steps to where you're at to like being willing to do that? Or like, how did you guys get there where it's like, yes, it's a scary step to not be putting this money towards a house, but instead towards this business?
Yeah. Well, I think probably we're kind of wired to be risk takers. Probably you guys are in that same path of kind of holding life loosely and having an attitude of there's nothing that we can take into this next life, so we'll hold life loosely. Hold our possessions loosely. So we have that mindset. We were in we were missionaries actually before, and we're thinking about going overseas and doing missions work before becoming entrepreneurs. And when we started we own a bike shop as well here in Pasadena. But when we started that bike shop, we just fell in love with this idea of like, we don't have to live off donations. Like we can actually make money. So I think we built that entrepreneurship muscle like over the last 8 years, and just seeing how fruitful it's been, and how we've grown in taking risks, grown in comfort level. So we have several friends who are millionaires, and they've told us like we've had to empty our bank accounts several times over the course of our life. And I'm sure you guys have heard these stories too, where we've given away everything multiple times, like 3 times. And so I think that's just inspiring to know that like, there's nothing that we have to hold on to,
Yeah. The bike shop, I remember this, hearing that you guys are running this, and with that like decision into entrepreneurship, was that also a step of faith? Like I'm guessing you had to find a place, get inventory. There's no like way to like test out a bike shop with like, I'm going to buy 2 parts and sell them, right? It was like, you kind of had to go all in with that, I'm guessing too. Was that like a big step of faith for your guys' family at that time?
Yeah. It's actually, we were able to test that.
Oh, cool.
And when we were in school together, we were dating at the time, and my husband found a bike on Craigslist here in LA that was a really high-end bike, and it was on sale for a price way under what it was worth. And so Ryan bought the bike and he parted it out and just sold it on eBay. And for a grad student, like 10 years ago, I think he made $300, and he was super excited about that. And he just did it over and over again, and found that he was like the only one doing it in LA at the time. Wow. Like that's what he found. And so I think that for us was like a little test. Like you try something that's working. Then we converted our garage. We hired a roommate and had a little bike shop like in our garage. So we did it with low overhead. And then about a year into that, just flipping, we found a space to do retail. So that was really exciting. So that was like 8 or 9 years ago now. And We now have 15 employees and to do half online and half in store, which is really fun.
That's super cool with the bike shop. You were able to, test it, work your way up. Cause that's very much what we teach in Rainmakers is like, hey, let's test something, let's try something. And not to say the business you're launching now isn't based off of crazy market research and data, because I know it is. And there's a huge marketplace and a huge hole in the marketplace, which is why I'm so excited about this launch and just watching you step into it. But the way you've treated it, I think is something that a lot of our community can learn from, because it is a totally different mindset. Do you feel like because of the size of the investment that it took to probably make this product stateside, it's a larger product, like you probably had to have big minimum order quantities. Do you feel like that investment made you treat it differently? Like you're like, it just feels like everything, I mean, and maybe just everything you touch is done with excellence, but like, it just feels like the product has just a lot of really like, it's just like, it seems like it's very well thought out. Did you like, I don't know. Did you find because of the level of investment, the level of commitment, like we're not taking the house money, we're doing this. Yeah. Do you feel like you have really paid more attention to every part of the process to have it be at that level?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's motivating when you have so much skin in the game.
Yeah.
I like that. I like having the skin in the game and knowing that there's not really a plan B. Yeah, I launched one other product through Rainmakers, and that came out March of 2020, right?
Yeah.
The same week of the shutdown. And that was kind of like a tester product for me. Like, can I do this? Does this work? I just want to learn the process. And I think I invested maybe $5,000 total just to kind of dip my toes in. But I found that the motivation level wasn't there for me with a product like that. And I think the other difference about this product that I love, the new one that I'm launching, is just that I resonate so deeply with it because it's a baby product and I'm a mom. So I can kind of get behind the brand. I can build the brand. That's what I'm really excited about, is building the story behind it.
Yeah.
Where the other product was something that I'm much less passionate about. So
yeah, that's something super powerful we were talking about on our last podcast, is really the story behind products, and I think this story, there is like this journey, there's this consistency thing, but it's so cool, even probably the parallel, and maybe this is something you do work into stuff already, but like the parallel between the power of consistency, the power of 1 year, and the power of consistency and the power of 1 year with being a mom to a 1-year-old. Because this product is a newborn type product. Right. That consistency of just like, I mean, we've seen that in parenthood. It's like your kids need you in the middle of the night. Like you gotta be like, you just get up. Like, it's just like, there's that consistency of just like consistent love over a lifetime. And that is so much more powerful than trying to be the perfect mom on Instagram. It's like, I'm just going to be consistent. I'm just going to show up, and like, I think there's that parallel of like something you've broken through with, with the product creation, that I feel like the product will create for people, and the brand will carry that for people to inspire them to lean into that. So, I just want to encourage you with that. I don't know if that's part of the messaging. Do you have any other stories like around the brand that you feel like you really want to tell beyond just the product? Like what do you want to speak to moms that encounter your brand online?
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, I would say that the story behind my business is my own story of breakthrough. And after my second daughter was born, I was feeling really overwhelmed and just living by reaction. I was really tired, and I really struggled with my transition to 2 kids. Our older one turned 2, right when the baby was born. So we were dealing with a crazy toddler and then a newborn, and I just felt like totally overwhelmed in the midst of it. I'm not foreshadowing your journey at all. It's just mine. But I think in it, I learned it was such a gift to me because I had to learn new strategies to become empowered and to become more disciplined and to just kind of, for lack of better words, be the hero of my own story. So Movi, this new business and this new baby product, was really birthed out of that journey of just learning about my own agency and learning that motherhood is such a gift to me. And it's a gift for me to become the woman that I'm always made to be. So I think that's my biggest just message behind my business, is that motherhood is a gift, and it might not look like the corporate world, but it's the way that we're stretched to become who we're made to be and to live the life that we're made to live. So I'm really like pro motherhood in that sense. Yeah. So to become, I think, the cultural message that you see a lot on Instagram is like, you're a victim to motherhood, you're a victim to your
Yes.
kids, and we have to find things to escape, whether it's like wine in our coffee cup or, Netflix that night or whatever we need to escape from. But I think there's a better way that, like, when we lean into that pain of motherhood, and we will actually become who we want to become. And so that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I love
so
that.
good.
I really resonate with that. You said one line that was so key about, like, on Instagram, like feeling
Victim.
like have to be like a victim
It's like
of
the
motherhood.
tired.
Totally.
And I get it. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like there is tiring
And
moments,
there's
but it's how you talk about your identity as a mother.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I should probably not be talking about this. This is probably you and Chelsea.
Some girl's gonna be like, "Get that man
I
out of here."
have opinions on this topic, but I need to keep my mouth shut. And Chelsea and actual mothers can talk about it.
I've been noticing that a lot, even with pregnancy, because we're about to have our second in a couple of months, and not that I like, how, especially right now, like on Facebook, there'll be reels that will just show up on your profile. And I get a lot of them right now about like pregnancy. And it's probably women who are either burnt out or exhausted or wanting to be like funny and relatable, but it just feels like a diss to motherhood and a diss to our kids. And maybe that's what you need to like get through the day. I have no idea, but it's just like, it's felt like off-putting to me. Like, oh man, like I want to be the mom who is there for my kids and is like the hero to my kids and not complaining to them or in front of them about how hard it is that they're in my life, And of course there are really hard days. Like I remember having a conversation with a friend of being like, bedtime, that's like a forever thing until they're like, like realizing like my life is focused in the evenings around like this bedtime routine and how they're always going to need me. And that's really overwhelming to think about. And like, I remember having that concept, but honestly, like bedtimes are some of my favorite part of the day. Like our son gets all like cuddly and he's funny. And like, I want to cherish those and not be in a place of like so burnt out all the time. And I don't want to lift that up like, oh, just being burnt out is like the norm, And I get that it's hard and there's places of venting. I've had a lot of moments of tears and all of that in between, especially with this pregnancy and having a toddler. But I want to like thrive. And I love that message that you're bringing across. I think the world needs it more than ever.
I agree. And I know like that's the message of Rainmakers too, that we're not victims, especially stay-at-home moms. Like there's so much agency that we can tap into, and
totally.
The hard part is that pain is the way to transform, pain is the road. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. This is good, Suzy. This is so good. So thank you so much for sharing your story. I want people to rally around you and cheer you on as you launch this product because it's very much in the adventure, in the works right now. How can people connect with you online? Like, where's the best platforms to find you, to join this movement of mothers launching this product? What's the best place?
Instagram is probably the best, and our handle is @Movi Family. That's MOVI Family. You can also find us on Facebook with the same handle, and we do regular lives and posts, and we'll keep you up to date with the product launch as well. So,
cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Are you, when you're going live, are you kind of sharing in the journey with everybody, like what's going on with the process and everything?
Yeah, totally.
That's so cool.
Yeah. We're not presenting kind of a polished, finished product, but we're talking about the journey with prototypes and the product launch and testing groups. So yeah, you'll see the whole process.
Very cool. I love that. Well, if you want to be involved in the process or just get some mama inspiration from Suzy, make sure to follow her on Instagram or on Facebook. But thank you so much for spending the afternoon with us. I know just before we went live, you said your kids are in the other room. So you're totally like doing that beautiful balancing act of CEO mom and just homeschool mom and all that. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate you.
Thank you guys. I love being on here today.